Hello, beautiful people. How are you today? This message today is all about people who want out. What does that mean? There's this thing that happens in your awakening journey that feels like you want out. You feel a sense of hopelessness, like there's no other way. There's no way out, but you want out. You want out of the matrix. You want out of the 3D collective. And you're starting to awaken to this broader perspective, and you start to see all the truths that are bubbling up, all the the curtain being lifted, right? And you're like, oh my goodness, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And it feels like you're trapped. And then from there's a lot of parts of you that are starting to integrate, shift, release. And in that phase, there's something called ego death. And ego death actually feels like suicidal thoughts. It really feels like you're going to die. And it really feels like you might want to kill yourself. These are sensations of ego death and wanting out and feeling trapped. So I want to encourage you today. If you are on an awakening process, if you've started a little bit of your awakening process, so these ego deaths start to happen incrementally through your awakening process. And even if you've been on your awakening process for a while, this can show up and it can kind of surprise you. It can be surprising too when you've been on your awakening journey, you've had a broader perspective, and some of this stuff comes up. You're like, what the heck? But yeah, it can happen in the beginning, in the middle here, and it's disturbing. It's disturbing. And one of the things I want to tell you about is there is a wonderful poem by Rumi, and it is called The Guest House. And it talks about inviting it all in. That feeling of wanting out, that feeling of I'm gonna die, I'm dying, that feeling of suicidal thoughts, of hopelessness. Invite it in, he says, like a welcomed guest. Have it sit down in front of you, offer it a cup of tea, go make it some food. Give it some allowance and awareness. And from there, what you start to notice is that it starts speaking to you. And it starts allowing you to be. And from there, just by giving each other attention, the energy softens, integrates, leaves. Now, you may have to invite it in several times. Now, one of the things I love to do with this energy when I invite it in is sing to it. Be the voice of it, sing to it, sing as it, sing as source to give it perspective and a different frequency. But what I'm here to say is it is super, super uncomfortable. And I'm here to say is hang on. Hang on, invite it in. You are not going crazy. This is all part of it, okay? The awakening process is filled with moments of detaching, okay? We have to keep unhooking from the collective, keep unhooking from certain frequencies and vibrations. And our 3D life was very real to us, right? It defined us. It gave us a sense of who we were. It gave us a sense of security and a way to define ourselves. And all of that has got to go in the awakening process. And it's really unsettling. And so I'm here to say, really hang on, If you do feel like suicidal, like you're going to actually hurt yourself, please go get support. Please go walk into a walk-in clinic or find some support that you feel good with. Please do not turn to drugs and alcohol. At this stage of the game and awakening, especially when you're in that state, that frequency state, drugs and alcohol are not a good idea. They're going to blow you out energetically and invite lower frequency entities, oppositional forces, and you'll also have awareness that gets stuck in the deeper part of your brain. And it starts to really bug you because you can't access it. You know something, but you can't access it. And it makes you really uncomfortable. So at this part, stage of the game, when you're having these ego deaths and you really want out, really stay away from the drugs and altering substances. They're going to make things exacerbated even by tenfold. So that would be my recommendation. Nature, getting out into nature. I mean, really, like, this sounds funny, but go hug a tree. It feels really good to just be next to trees. It feels really good to be in water. Okay, when I'm having these type of phases, I'm in the shower all of the time. Or I live near a lake and I live near a creek. I go spend time with my feet in the water, near the water, just hearing that flow is really, really helpful. So look it up, the Rumi poem. It's called The Guest House. Read it and treat this time in your awakening that will come back again and again, because there's a lot of things that we're letting go of from the collective consciousness and from our 3D reality. And that's what awakening is awakening up to, I'm not that. Oh, I'm not that either. Oh, I'm not that either. Well, what the heck am I? And that's the hard part. The what the heck am I then? Because we haven't come to the realization of, or maybe we have the knowing that we are source, we are God, we are light, but we don't have the experience of it, and it feels lonely. It feels like too much space. It feels really uncomfortable. We haven't grown into those boots yet, so to speak. Hang on, okay? The more time you give to just being with your new frequency, the new space you've created for yourself and your awakening, the more time you spend with it, just sitting in nature, sitting internally, listening within, the more you're going to get comfortable with this new frequency. And it is a frequency. It feels like space and loneliness and hopelessness, but it's actually just spaciousness. It is spaciousness of light, of the I am, of the allness of source. And you're getting a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more of it each time you go through these detachments. So it's a really good thing, but it's really, really hard to not react from these feelings. I get it. So what I'd love to do now is just guide you through a little singing practice that you can do whenever you're feeling like this, okay? So I hope this is helpful. So find a comfortable place to sit. And first off, I want you to, eventually go find this poem, this Rumi poem, The Guest House. And each time you sit still with like this to do this practice, I want you to remember, okay, I'm inviting each discomfort in. I'm inviting the fear, the loneliness, the suicidal thoughts. And imagine you're sitting at a little kind of picnic with each of them. They're all there, okay? And you're closing your eyes. And you're gonna just tone with them, okay? So the first practice is tuning into the energy of them and giving them attention by just toning the frequency of them. And just by having that intention and that willingness, you just make a sound. Okay, so you invite them in, you make a sound with the intention of making a sound of the frequency that they are. Now notice like my sound, what it kind of started and then it kind of went down a little bit in pitch. This is not to sound pretty, okay? Just open your mouth and let a sound out and let the energy flow with no judgment, okay? Now from there, you're going to tune into your source self. Okay, you're going to tune into your inner self, your higher self, however, tune into whatever that feels like to you. And then you're going to sing that intention through a tone. Good. And what you want to do is kind of remember the first one you did and remember the second one you did and play. Okay, now if you can't remember what the exact pitch was, that's okay. But the idea is you're playing with the frequency of these denser frequencies at the picnic, and then you're playing with the frequency of your higher self. And eventually what happens is you just start mingling them together, okay? And entrainment starts to happen. Entrainment is a word for bringing a lower vibration to meet a higher vibration. And so what you're doing is tuning yourself to your higher frequency, tuning all the aspects of you to your higher frequency. And once that happens, then the old programming can't really play there anymore. They have to leave the playground, basically, of your life. And they start to see that, oh, this isn't a match anymore. So it's just energy, it's just frequency. And you get to say what's there and what's not. And it's such a gentle, fun way of doing it with sound because it's just training frequency. Okay. And so as we go into our advanced awakening, we start sustaining these higher frequencies. And once we are really locking in the higher frequencies, the other kind of lower frequencies of fear and hopelessness and depression don't necessarily come as full force anymore. But we really have to recognize and be with them first and invite them to the picnic first. All right. And so that sensation of, get me out of here, may decrease. And as a light worker, as a starseed, we need you here. Okay. Now, who knows what your agreements are? Maybe you are going to leave the planet on an earlier time. Maybe you're not going to be the one to, light the planet up for 100 years. But not all of us have that quest, right? So know too that leaving the planet, leaving your body is not a punishment. It's not a punishment to the planet. It's not a punishment to you. But just know that having your light here on the planet right now during the Great Awakening would be great to have you. And just because you leave your body, also it doesn't mean you're not here either. But it'd be great to have humans lit up and showing the way of awakening and enlightenment and ascension within the body, because that is what's possible here on planet Earth now. So would you be willing to grow into your spaciousness in this body and integrate and let go of those frequencies and detach from the frequencies that no longer are in alignment with your highest self now? Let me know in the comments if this was helpful, and I wish you all the best. You are not alone on this journey. Please use my channel if you need to, if you're feeling off, if you're feeling like you really do feel suicidal. You're not alone. Reach out. There's so many of us on YouTube right now who are wanting to be of service to the awakening and ascension journey. You are not alone, and make sure you get professional help as well. Um, yeah, beautiful light being. Thank you. Thank you for the work you're doing here on the planet. Thank you for being here. Namaste.